who was just super last minute. They tried to find him, but also they couldn't find him anybody. But it is what it is. Especially when you're going and they're like, hey, just throw my name in the hat if anybody shows up. It is.
He was walking around at 175.
Exactly. He's just like
180, 165. You know what?
Close enough.
Take the 65 guy. Man, well that sucks. It's unfortunate, man, because definitely, as you said, it would have been fun. I mean, I don't know the heat. I mean, you think he'd be okay?
I get fucked, dude. Hot's hot, bro. From the valley, I'm used to just being hot, humid all the time.
Yeah. No, especially out there too, man. Because I know here we get a little, here and there, man. But sorry about that. It's a little delay.
No, he would have smoked that heavyweight, man. He was. Their coach was like this tiny girl and.
Oh, his coach?
Yeah, the heavyweights coach.
Yeah, man.
They trained out of like a fitness center.
Here locally?
I think in Floresville.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Blue Fire.
Yeah, that's what I was saying the other day. I was all like, man, it'd be like fighting. Okay, man, hey, you're fighting the guy from Foot Locker, man. He just got off work. Taking off his shirt. And man, it's funny because I don't know if you ever went to the Talent Challenge, like back in the day, like in the Valley. You ever heard of that one? We used to go out there with the guys from Mike Margell. It was like 2002, 2003. But we used to go out there, man, and one guy, like one of our guys back then was fighting him. And the guy, he had like and I was like, man, is he a referee? And they're like, no, man, he works at Foot Locker. And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, oh, damn, dude. And so I kept, telling my boy, like, man, you're fighting the guy from Foot Locker, bro. Like, I mean, but that's what it was, man. Actually, I think we might be a go. You can slap the headset on, guys. Oh, you guys already got him on. Okay, boom. Check it out.
Did he have good footwork?
Not really.
Not even that?
He didn't even have good shoes, man. That's how bad it was, man. But hello, everybody. Spider here, the Fight Car Podcast, come to you once again. Of course, we are here in the studio, being joined by Cody, my man, from Austin, Texas, man. And your name? I'm sorry, boss.
Christian.
Yes, nice to meet you guys. Well, meet you, sir. Cody, man, from Austin, bro. I mean, I know you were here both you guys were here for a little event that happened earlier today, man. And I mean, can you guys talk about that?
The Texas Street Fighting Championships, Volume 3. It was quite an event. There were 4 fights. None of them went the distance. A lot. I don't think anyone really trained, but it was entertaining. It was definitely entertaining, and there should be some videos up on YouTube very soon.
No, definitely. I know they've been posting other fights, and John Noriega, of course, he's been endorsing it. Did his brother get to fight?
No, he was there, but I guess he couldn't find someone to fight him. A lot of people pulled out. A lot of people no-showed. So
I know they had opened Ojos Locos on the south side. You could have just gone by there and picked up some guys, bro. Been like, hey, no, but I mean, of course, like you said, man, that was entertaining. I mean, of course, all of them finished pretty fast.
Yeah, there were 4 fights. The first one was a boxing fight, and one of the guys couldn't answer the bell for the 3rd round. He was just too tired. The second fight, this guy got choked out in the 2nd round, got beat up, taken down, bloody nose, got choked out. The third fight, it was the one I was telling you about earlier. The guy cut his foot.
The ring.
Yeah, the ring was made out of box crates with puzzle mats on it, and there was like kind of ropes around it, but he stepped off and like cut his foot on the box crate and like took off a chunk of his foot, and he kept trying to fight after that. They taped it up and he answered and he came back and fought, but in between the 1st and the 2nd round he was like, no, I'm done. And the main event was a banger, man. They beat the crap out of each other. Homeboy got up kicked and he was all concussed and throwing up after the fight. That one was definitely fight of the night.
No, man. You see, and I know what happens in the middle of nowhere, right? I mean, it's in a secret location, let's say. I mean,
Yeah.
by invitation only. But man, I mean, I'm glad you guys went. Definitely an experience. I mean, I'm sure you've been to better shows, though, right? Maybe.
Yeah, it's it was an experience.
No, for sure. And what did you ended up riffing?
Yeah. I tried to help out as best I could. They had good camera production. I was really surprised with that. They had a bunch of people recording, and
Medics on site too.
yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
sweet.
it wasn't a bad production. They have a long way to go, but it's cool. It's cool to see these grassroots fighting promotions. It's cool to see these street beefs in
Yeah.
Texas and yeah, like I said, I'm glad I went. I had a great time.
No, you see, and I was asking earlier about an event that happened in South Texas, man. Of course, it was called, I believe it was Talent Challenge. I might be wrong, or Total Combat, or one of the two. But what I wanted to say was, even back then, I mean, it was inside a ring. I mean, when we first started, I mean, here with Mike Rangel, 2002, like, we used to go to Battle at the Beach. It was pancrase, open hand. There was no closed fist allowed before, like, 2005, I believe. So, I mean, talk about grassroots, man. I mean, of course, starting up, and by the time, I think it was South Solis with Renegades that opened up, and he ended up actually getting a cage. And by that time, I was already, I was still training, but it was just like the guys that were competing were kind of like, oh, damn, it's the closest thing to the UFC, man. So a lot of people were excited about it. I mean, the promotions got better. Of course, they started getting more cages. I think for the most part, I don't think anybody has MMA in boxing rings anymore. I might be wrong.
I don't think so. And man, I remember Icon. They used to have MMA in rings as well.
That's right.
So I came up doing some fighting in MMA fighting in rings. I don't like it, man. The cage is way better.
I was gonna say, I mean, it's not. It's more for a striker, I guess you can say. I mean, you can't use the cage. I mean, you can't use the wall as far as to hold your opponent. I mean, of course, everybody slips out, and they got to. I mean, when you were competing in the ring, I mean, did they have to restart the whole match when people would step off, or?
For sure, and it's easier to hold on to the ropes to stuff a takedown. It's easier to kind of force you, scoot out and fall out of the ring to get out of a
just
sub.
to get out of a bad position or whatnot, man. Man, let me ask you, because of course, I mean, you guys were here in San Antonio a few weeks back, man. I mean, you guys you had a fighter for Fury FC, and you guys took home a belt.
2 fighters.
For that night?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dallas Dodd and Christian Evans.
That's right. I apologize. Yes. I was thinking as far as a title bout.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, you guys got to take a title home, but of course, you have a title with you, man. I mean, you yourself. I mean, you're the coach. You're out there driving everybody around. I mean, how many miles on your car, man?
A lot.
And as far as competition, because, I mean, you participated for the Texas Catch Wrestling Coalition, of course. And I don't know if you can see the Only Slam shirt in the back, of course, for Christopher Bubba Flores, man. But for that event, man, I saw clips of the fight. I know one time your opponent had you upside down, man.
Oh, yeah, he dumped me for sure. Yeah, shout out to Bubba. Shout out to Texas Catch Wrestling. They put on a great show. Christian was on that show as well.
Yeah.
We had 2 guys pull out against my guy Andrew. He was actually on the show last time I came. Him and Christian were on. And so I stepped in. I stepped in to compete against him. And yeah, he slammed me on my face. He took me down a couple of good times. I mean, I took him down a couple times as well. But my experience in treachery won the fight. It won the match, and I was able to get a submission in overtime, win the lightweight belt.
There you go, man.
And it was a great experience, man. It was exhausting, like 10 minutes of wrestling in the Texas heat.
I was gonna say, bro, because that was still. I know it was covered, right?
Yeah, it was still outside
Yeah.
though, and it was like probably like 90, 100 degrees out.
Ooh.
And for like 2 days, like I couldn't do anything. Like I don't recover like I used
You
to.
couldn't hydrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. You see, because I saw the clips, and I had Aaron Suarez here the Monday after. But I was telling him, I said, man, I wanted to go to that event. I mean, my trucks kept me here. I ended up covering a local boxing. But I was thinking, damn, if I would have gone, I think I would have been dying, bro. Like, been outside like that, dude, I was just like, I mean, it was treacherous, dude. I mean, I work outside all day. I mean, I'm a delivery driver, but it's just like I wouldn't be able to just sit there and take it in like that, dude. That's pretty harsh. But, I mean, years of experience, man. I mean, that's what I was mentioning earlier. When it comes to fighting in the ring, I mean, of course, you have the spotlights, you have the people yelling at you, your coaches, the fans. I mean, is something like that good experience for going into an MMA bout, like a amateur or professional?
Yes, for sure. Any sort of competition is good for someone who plans on fighting. I tell my fighters that they need to compete as often as possible in as many things as possible, whether it's boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, catch wrestling, street fighting, MMA. Like any time you can look across a cage or a ring from another person, anytime you have to cut weight and deal with the nerves and like compete against a crowd, if you can get used to that, it's gonna take a variable out of the fight. It's just gonna make you able to perform that much better. And you hear about guys who it's like, oh, this guy's a monster in the gym, but they don't perform when the lights hit them.
Yeah.
And so the more experience, the better. And even the last time I was on the show, I was talking about how I really like the catch wrestling format for my fighters. I had to rely on a lot of my MMA tactics in order to survive and win my match. I was finding myself resting against the cage and using it to stuff takedowns. One of the takedowns I got was with the cage. My opponent was a much better wrestler than me in space.
Right.
But the cage is a different element, and it brings a whole new side to the sport. And if you know how to use it, it's your friend, and if you don't, it's your foe.
Yeah. No, by all means, bro. And that's one of the things, even like some of these platforms. I mean, right now you have BYB that uses a triangle-shaped ring. You've got BKFC that use that circular ring. So I mean, all these different platforms, of course, it benefits one more than the other. Or if you're not experienced, like you said, I mean, you're not used to being kept up on the corner, then that's some of the experience that you're talking about that you should get before you decide to go pro, right?
Yeah, and of course, like when anybody talks about like battle or warfare, there's always considerations to the terrain.
Right.
Like you don't want to fight an uphill battle. You want to know, am I fighting in mud? Am I fighting in grass? Are there stickers on the ground? Like how am I going to disguise myself if I'm a sniper? There should always be considerations to the terrain and warfare, and a martial artist is always aware of his surroundings. Like just sitting down here, I've already thought about 10 things I could use as improvised weaponry.
Right.
But that's just how crazy my mind works.
No, yeah, but I mean that's years and years of combat or battle or having to coach or having to get these fighters ready, man. Because I mean I talked about it earlier. I mean when it came to combat sports here in Texas alone, I mean from doing mixed martial arts and on the wrestling mat to doing it inside a boxing ring. I mean, it changed the whole mindset to, you know, guys like Sal Solis, you know, passed away, may continue to rest in peace, of course. But Renegade, you know, Extreme Championship, man. I mean, you have to adapt. You have to get used to being, you know, doing the cage walk, for instance. A lot of people still can't do that, or they have a hard time, you know. But yeah, I mean, experience, and I know you tell your guys, you know, your students as far as to compete as much as they can, and they have been, because you guys are like on every freaking card out there, man. So, I mean, is that something that? I mean, obviously you're okay with it, but I mean, are you looking to keep these guys busy the rest of the year?
For sure, for sure. I think that's the best training that you can get. Using your martial arts outside of the gym is more beneficial. People kind of, like, you can get complacent inside of the gym.
Yeah.
You can go and roll with the same people every day, skip the hard rolls, and not get anything from it. You can, like, go and get on a treadmill and go at the same pace and not grow and not become uncomfortable. And a lot of these gyms are padded rooms where people are insane, that thinking they're learning how to fight and getting better.
Right.
And once you've developed a certain amount of competency in jiu-jitsu, for example, once you've got like a blue belt,
right,
you can kind of coast. You can kind of find spots to rest. You can make hard training easy.
Yeah.
You can pick your friends who aren't gonna push you the way you should.
Yeah, that's true, man.
And every time you compete, you're gonna get pushed, whether you want to or not. You got, like, I had to cut weight, and that was the first time I've cut weight in like 6 months, and it sucks. And all week long, I was talking shit with my opponent, and although like I like that part of it, it adds spice to it.
Yeah.
It adds a different element. It's more than just training.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So if I could have my guys go to a different gym every day to where they didn't know anyone there and people were trying to prove themselves or beat them up, that would be the best training.
No, yeah.
It would prepare them for life, you know?
Yeah, and let me ask you about that, because even now, I mean, some gyms do have an open door, you know, you can go and cross train. I mean, of course, they have open mat, you know, here at the HOJ. But, I mean, a lot of schools still don't do that. I mean, they're still like, yeah, you know, we only train, which, you know, more power to them. Of course, it's their choice, their business. But, I mean, of course, you don't agree with that. I mean, for you, it's better just to keep taking these guys everywhere and getting them that exposure that they're not going to get it. I mean, not so much that they're not going to get at the gym, but it's not the same exposure.
Yes, and I love open mats. I've always encouraged, I've always hit open mats. I've always encouraged my students to go to different gyms and train with anyone and everyone and get those different looks. I like going into a gym where you don't know anyone and people are giving you dirty looks. We were talking about like Rocky 3 earlier, when he like walked into Creed's gym and everyone's like, "That's the eye of the tiger, Rock. You used to have that." And the biggest problem that I'm having recently is, although I encourage my guys to go to open mats, it's hard finding quality training. Like a lot of the places that my guys go, it would be better for them just to come to our home gym and train with their coaches, because they'll get better work at home with their coaches.
Right. No, for sure, man. And let me ask you about this, because of course, right now, I mean, you guys train without the gi. It's no gi, right?
Yes.
Now, when it comes to gi, I mean, not so much. Are you? I don't want to say are you against that, but I mean, do you just prefer just no gi, like natural?
I am against the gi now. All the way up to my black belt, I trained in a gi. And in all of the gyms that I frequented, all the gyms that I got ranked in, we would do gi and no gi training.
Right.
But the no gi would only be like a day or two a week. And it would just be the same stuff we were doing in a gi without a gi.
Right.
And it's completely different. All of those people who say like, oh, you have to train in a gi to get the finest technique, I think they're being motivated by gi sales more than logic. I think there's a lot of like brainwashing going on there. And I actually had to put the gi on for the first time in like 3 years to go get my first degree on my black belt.
Yeah.
And I hated it, man. Like, it was so hot, and I had like arthritis for like a week afterwards. And like to be able to grip anywhere at any time is such like an unrealistic thing to grappling. I think a lot of people use the gi to their own detriment to prevent them from actually learning how to wrestle or actually learning how to grapple without the gi. When you have a good wrestler or a high quality grappler come into a jiu-jitsu gym, the gi is the equalizer.
Yeah.
It's like we can put this guy in this kimono and this crazy bulky thing, and it's gonna slow everything down. It's gonna frustrate him. It's going to create a variable that he's not used to.
Right.
And so only doing no-gi jiu-jitsu, it made my wrestling improve out of necessity. It's made my submissions and my no-gi controls improve out of necessity. And now I don't need an equalizer. I don't need to put somebody in a costume in order to fight them. And I'm training MMA, and I'm training MMA fighters.
Right.
And unless they want to go to Japan and fight in a gi, there's no reason for them to be training in a gi.
No, by all means. And of course, man, I mean, this is, coming from you, I mean, of course, from here, from San Antonio, back when I met you back in the day in the local tournaments, to you traveling to New Mexico, to you traveling just to keep learning and keep educating yourself, man, because obviously, I mean, you've been doing this how many years? Like over 10 years for sure.
Yeah, and like, I come from a traditional martial arts background. I was a karate black belt before I ever got into jiu-jitsu. I've been doing jiu-jitsu over 15 years now, 12 to get my black belt, 3 after that to get my first degree. And like I said, I think that the gi, like wearing the gi and the emphasis on the gi is more for like a control mechanism, right, to be able to keep people in the hierarchy of belts.
Right.
And to make sure people will fall in line or follow orders instead of cherishing proficiency and ability. And I think, like, if someone is better than you, if their skill is better than you, if they can beat you up, that deserves more respect than how much time they've put in. Like we were talking earlier about how it's easy to become complacent in a gym and choose the same roles and roll with the same people and not improve. If you get someone who's training like that and they're training for 20 years, yeah, they can basically be a 20-year blue belt, yeah, or a 20-year blue belt level of skill.
Yeah.
but they're going to be teaching class. They're going to be telling these other people what to do. Why? Because they paid their time? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It like skill and accomplishments and ability should get the people to the top. The people who should be giving commands, the people who should be leaders, should be in that position based on merit and achievement, and not just participation trophy time.
You've been registered or to the gym, only show up once a week, and I mean, I'm sure there's tons of people out there, man. I mean, and you brought up some good points, man, because even when I first started with Mike Rangel, I would see that. I mean, when me starting off, training, I was there a few weeks, a few months, and the guys that had been there for a while always wanted to roll with me because of that. Hey, let's go, and I was getting smashed, dude. But I mean, it made me better even faster, because I noticed, like, within 6 months, like, these guys had been there for a year. I was able to, like, my offense was good, my defense was getting better, and then, so I started realizing, like, oh, you know what, like, I can, like you said, they weren't growing. They were just happy with just, you know what, I'll start going with the other new guy. And I saw that. Like, as soon as, for me, I was a guy after being there like a year. Like, as soon as new guys would show up, like, I always made it a point to kind of like, hey man, let's roll. And as soon as we start rolling, I would put pressure on the guys, and I would keep them moving, and just kind of like to make sure they realized, okay, you know what, you're gonna get tired, man. And that's what I would do. I wouldn't submit them. I could, but I was more like, that way they can come back. And then they come back again, and the same thing. I would always put them aside, like, hey man, let's go over this technique. And then I give out my back, have them get my back, and I would defend. I use them as much as they were using me, and I just, because I saw that, the guys were just wanting to smash everybody, and I mean, right off the bat, people wouldn't show up, man. I mean, they get hurt, they get choked, and there goes their ego, and it's just like, oh man, you know what? So, but yeah, I mean, I've seen it before. I mean, I'm sure it's still going on now, but back then, I mean, when we first started, there was no open mat. I think Mike Rangel at the beginning, from as far as my understanding, I mean, he was the only one teaching. It wasn't Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, he always went under Rangel Valetudo, only because he wasn't accredited. I mean, he was a black belt in Concedo Karate, and I apologize if I chopped that up. But I mean, I know he had like 2 different black belts in traditional martial arts as well. But that's kind of what we went under, But we used to do the whole gi, no gi, and striking, man. And that's kind of like, at the beginning, nobody was doing that. I would go to schools here, Kempo schools. I'd go to Taekwondo schools, and I would show up in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu shirt, and the first thing they'd be is like, hey man, you can't be here. They would literally tell me to leave, man, or they would like, oh hey, let me show you how to defend against the takedown. And I'm watching, because I'm like, okay, cool. And it's like some cheesy stuff, and I'm like, dude, like that's not gonna work, man. But it's getting better. I mean, a lot of schools are starting to realize, like, yeah, I mean, you want to get better, you gotta not so much cross train, but you gotta put yourself in bad positions and work out of them, right? Now, let me ask you, because you guys are traveling everywhere, bro. And by everywhere, I mean, your guys are fighting here, Houston. I mean, where else have you guys been traveling to compete?
Everywhere, man. Louisiana, California, Arkansas, anywhere there's bodies.
Alaska. We had Carl go there, and Sean as well, a couple times. Oh, wow, man.
Everywhere.
You see, that would be good around this time of year to go out there, man. Cool down for a little bit, man. This damn Texas heat. But, bro, I mean, as far as for yourself, I mean, you are in Austin, Texas. I mean, you're still growing. There's still things that you want to do. I mean, is there something else that you want to do before you decide to just, sit back and just teach, or maybe even expand and do something else?
I want to make champions, and the more that I love competing, and I'll always compete, and I love fighting, and I'll always fight. But I came to the realization that I can defeat more people leading an army. I can collect more bodies, sicking my fighters on people, to where, in a jiu-jitsu competition, I could defeat 7 men in one day. If I'm leading 10 people, and each of them defeat 7 people in a day, that's 70 bodies on on my record. So I can do more, but by leading, and of course I want to open my own gym. I'm in the process of making my system into a style to where I can spread real MMA and not what a lot of people pass for MMA these days. But my large long-term goal is to improve the quality of martial arts as a whole, to create some sort of standards or regulations, or find a way to get people out there who aren't training martial arts and who are teaching stuff that could potentially get their students hurt,
right,
if they ever tried to use it, and you know, bring more accountability and realism into this sport and into this lifestyle that's given me so much and that I love so much. And when I see people who are like really old fat guys doing a bunch of forms and twirling nunchucks around, and they're like really good at advertising and marketing, and they fill these classes up with a bunch of fat kids who are twirling nunchucks around. It's like, man, that's not it. Like, they're not going to get confidence that way. They're not going to be able to defend themselves that way. And I can only imagine how many people have been disenchanted because they were like, hey, I brought my kid to a gym and he was supposed to learn martial arts and learn how to protect himself from the bully, and now he gets bullied even more because he's doing all this ridiculous stuff.
No, yeah, you see, and that's another thing also. I mean, of course, on social media, everybody calls them McDojos, you know, and there's a lot of them. I mean, even in the beginning when I first started this, I mean, there was, you know, reality fighting, or you know, I would go and they're in traditional uniforms and they're doing traditional forms, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I mean, not saying that it's not going to help, you know, who knows, but I mean, it's just, for me, it wasn't for me. I mean, I kept looking, and finally I found somebody, and I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do. But let me ask you, bro, as far as competition, man, what else do you guys have next? Because I know in Austin, I mean, of course, there's a pro promotion popping up, and how many guys are you going to have on that card?
Yeah, Melee Fighting Championships is going to
sir.
have its first show September 3rd. The guys at Black Sheep Boxing, Jeffrey Meadows, all the guys over there, some of our friends and training partners, RJ, all the guys over there, they're really making moves in the local community.
Yeah.
And we're still figuring out how many guys we're going to have on that card. We'll probably have like 3 or 4, maybe more, maybe less, but we're always fighting. Our stable's always growing, and people are taking notice. People are seeing the work that we're doing, and man, when you do good work, when you have a quality product, and for me, like when you're authentically doing something and teaching something, people want to be a part of that. And
for sure, man.
And like I put everything I got into my team, and I do anything for my guys.
I mean, we feel it, man. Honestly, there's nobody on the team that I've spoken to, that I've interacted with, that's ever been like, man, Cody's a dick. Like, I don't think Cody wants to help me out. Like, there's never been anybody on the team that's ever, like, expressed any feelings of like being left out or like they don't feel like they're getting the help that they need, because like they know for a fact that you can come up to Cody and be like, hey man, like XYZ is happening, I need XYZ things for you to help me, and if he can, like that, man, he will. Like, and that's not just Cody, that also like goes for Andrew, Craig as well.
Right.
Like if you ever need anything, you could just, you know, hit him up and be like, hey man, I'm just going through this, I need help with this, I need help for whatever. And like it's really cool to just see that culture in a gym, man, like anywhere really.
Right. No, yeah, I mean, if you have it good like that, then like, you know, that's why people won't leave, man.
For sure.
But man, I mean, I don't want to make this too short, man, but I do want to thank you guys for stopping by. I know you guys are heading home tonight.
Yeah.
And what's the schedule for the week, man? Just put the guys through the grinder, or what's coming on?
Yeah, Monday night is our hard training. And if anybody listening ever wants to come train with us, everyone and anyone is welcome. We need bodies.
Nice, man.
6:30 is technique, 7:30 is hard sparring, and it's probably our hardest session of the week. I'm going to McAllen. We're going to McAllen next weekend. I have a seminar, an MMA seminar on Saturday and a jiu-jitsu seminar on Sunday. So if anyone wants to come learn the secret sauce from me, you know, I'd love to have you down there. And back to the grind, back to work. I gotta train. My guys gotta train. There's fights coming up. There's people trying to take what we have, and we can't make it easy for them.
Oh, no, not at all, man. I mean, definitely make them fight for it, right? Man, well, I want to thank you guys, Christian. Of course, great meeting you.
You too.
Cody, as always, man. I mean, I'm starting to think you live here, bro. I don't know. We'll see. But I appreciate you coming by, of course. Everybody out there, of course, once again, this is Spider, the Fight Car Podcast. For those local, man, hit me up. I'll be here all week. For those outside the city, of course, like Cody, man, hit me up, man. Stop by. And by all means, I mean, we'll plug everything and anything. So if you guys, you know, have something coming up, man, we'll definitely blast it and put it out there for everybody else. So with that being said, of course, till next time, follow up. It'll drag it a little bit more. It's gonna get a few more seconds, but it should be good. But man, I want to say, as far as like coaching, man, because of course, I mean, when you were competing, did you start kind of coaching right away, or did you kind of after a while did you realize, okay, maybe I want to start coaching? Or
I started wanting to coach, but I knew that if I wouldn't compete and fight, I wouldn't be able to coach at the level I needed to.